In this video, I'm going to show you how to answer the headings question in more detail. So here I have a practice set from Cambridge IELTS book number 8, test number 4, and this particular example is from reading passage number 1. So let us begin by looking at our instructions. So here we have a total of 5 questions, and in this passage we have 6 sections or 6 paragraphs from A through F. What we have to do is we have to choose the correct heading for sections B through F. Note that we have sections A through F, but we're really only looking at B through F, and we have to look for the correct answer for these paragraphs and choose one of the answer choices from this list of headings. So we're not going to be looking at paragraph A because that is just an example. So this answer choice 4, is not going to be used. So what we're going to do is right away we can just put a line across it, since this is something that is not going to be used. So here is our reading passage. We can begin by looking at the title, Land of the Rising Sun. And this is a question that you have to return back to after you have already answered all the easy questions in reading passage number 1. So once you already answer all the easy questions like fill in the blanks, yes, no, multiple choice, then at the end of answering those questions, after having already answered those easy questions, then you are going to return back to this difficult question at the end of reading passage number 1. So let us begin. The first thing that we're going to do is we have to identify which question we should answer first. Well, which question do you think we're going to be answering first? Do you remember? So we have a bunch of different paragraphs here. Which paragraph should we start with? You might remember from my previous video that we always have to start with the shortest paragraph, because the goal is to get as many questions correct as possible. So you will increase your odds of answering more questions correct if you start with the shortest paragraphs first. So in this example, you may have noticed that we have a lot of double paragraphs here. For example, for section F, we have double paragraphs. So we have 2 paragraphs here. For section E, it's the same thing. We again have 2 paragraphs here. For section D, we have 2 paragraphs, one over here and then one down here. And then for C, we only have 1 paragraph. And then for B, we have 2 paragraphs. So a lot of double paragraphs. And I'm going to get to how to answer these questions that have double paragraphs. We're going to get to that in just a bit. But for now, we're going to start off with the shortest paragraph. And which one is that? That is paragraph C. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to start by answering question number 2 first, section C. So the first thing that we have to do after identifying the shortest section is we have to look at the topic sentence. The topic sentence is the most important sentence in a paragraph, and it is the first sentence in the paragraph. So we're going to be reading the first sentence in the paragraph, and I'm also going to be reading the second sentence. Oftentimes, the answer choice might combine the first 2 sentences and present it as a single sentence. So I'm going to be reading the first 2 sentences, and if I still don't find my answer, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to read this last sentence. So let's begin. Traditional ways of teaching form the basis of the lesson, and the remarkably quiet classes take their own notes of the points made and examples demonstrated. Everyone has their own copy of the textbook supplied by the Central Education Authority, Monbusho, as part of the concept of free compulsory education up to the age of 15. So what is this paragraph really talking about? What is this whole paragraph talking about? You have to be able to understand the gist of the paragraph. That's what this question is all about. So what this whole paragraph is really talking about is this part over here. It's talking about the traditional ways of teaching, and then it's just describing to us what those traditional ways of teaching are, and then it's going into the details of those traditional ways of teaching. So let's see if we can find something about traditional ways of teaching. So here we have our answer choices. Okay, I don't really see any synonym language here regarding the traditional way of teaching. So I'm going to come back to my paragraph. I'm not really sure what my answer is here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm also going to read the last sentence. It says here, besides approving textbooks, Monbusho also decides the highly centralized national curriculum and how it is to be delivered. Okay, so it seems to be talking very much about Monbusho. We have Monbusho here. The word again appears over here, and is basically talking about the traditional ways of teaching in relation to the central authority that is Monbusho. And then down here is again talking about how Monbusho decides the national curriculum, and basically it's talking about the impact that Monbusho has on the teaching system. So let's see if we can find something related to that. And I did see the word Monbusho over here. So here it's talking about the influence of Monbusho. Well, that is our answer right there, because it's talking about how Monbusho is the central authority and it has so much influence that it decides the national curriculum and the way in which classes are taught. So it's really talking about the influence of Monbusho. That is synonym language. So the correct answer for question number 2, section C, is going to be number 1. So I'm going to put number 1 next to that. And another thing that I like to do is I just like to put a cross next to it so that I can save some time looking at the answer choices that are actually available to me, so I don't have to waste time looking again at the answer choices that I've already used. Okay, so if it helps you, go ahead and put a cross across it, and then you can move on to the next question and then repeat doing the same thing. Okay, so we've answered section C. Now let's move on to the next paragraph. Now, what is the next shortest paragraph? So we're done with C. What is the next shortest paragraph? This one is pretty large. D seems to be about the same size. Guys, you know what? I think that all of them seem to be the same size for me. They're pretty much all the same size. There's not really a big difference here. So oftentimes you will notice that there is a significant difference. For example, some paragraphs and sections may be much shorter in comparison to the rest of the sections. But sometimes this may not be the case. For example, here it's not the case. So I'm not going to be looking for the next shortest paragraph because they're pretty much all the same length. So I'm just going to start up here with B, and then I'm just going to move down these sections one by one, one after the other. So here we go. Now, here's what you have to consider when you are looking at a double paragraph section, a section that has 2 paragraphs. How are you to answer a question like this? How will you determine the gist of this section when you have 2 paragraphs? Well, it's quite simple. All you have to do is just read the first sentence of the first paragraph and then read the first sentence of the second paragraph, and that will give you a good understanding of what these paragraphs are talking about, what this section is talking about. If you still don't find the answer, then you can go ahead and read the second sentences in the 2 paragraphs, and if you still don't find the answer, then you can go ahead and read the last sentence of the 2 paragraphs. But you're probably not going to have to do this. I have not really have had to do this in the past. Usually I just read the first sentence of the 2 paragraphs in a section, and that gives me my answer. So you really should not have the need to read anything more than the first sentence of the 2 paragraphs. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let's read this first sentence here. Lower secondary schools in Japan cover 3 school years from the 7th grade, age 13, to the 9th grade, age 15. Okay, so it's talking about the lower secondary schools in Japan. And then down here, it says classes are large, usually about 40, and are unstreamed. So here it just seems to be giving me more detail about the lower secondary schools from grade 7 to grade 9. So let's see if we can find something related to that in our answer choices. Here we go. This is our answer. Background to middle years education in Japan. So middle years is synonym language for grades 7 through 9. So it's giving us background information on this age group. It's just giving us general information about the lower secondary schools, and it's just talking about how many students there are and what their ages are and so on. So the correct answer for paragraph B, question number 1, is going to be 7. Number 7. Let's put that there, and if it helps you, you can also go ahead and just put this line across it. Great. Now let us move on to the next paragraph, section D. So again, in section D, we have 2 paragraphs. So again, we're going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to read the first sentence in the first paragraph of section D, and then I'm going to read the first sentence in the second paragraph of section D. So here we go. Lessons all follow the same pattern. Okay, so pattern is the key word. It's basically going to talk about the pattern in which the lessons are organized. The whole paragraph here is going to talk about the pattern of teaching. Let's move on to our second paragraph. After the homework has been discussed, the teacher explains the topic of the lesson slowly and with a lot of repetition and elaboration. Okay, so here is talking about what the teacher does after the homework has been discussed. What happens after the homework has been discussed? That's what this whole paragraph is about. So that gives us the overall meaning of this section. The pattern in which the lessons are taught and what happens after the homework has been discussed. So let's look at the answer choices here and let's see which one matches up. Okay, it says nothing about less successful students. It's not talking about success. Typical format. There we go. It's talking about a typical format of a maths lesson. That's our answer. It's talking about the format. Format means structure. So it's talking about the structure. For example, here you see how it's talking about the pattern. Okay, pattern is a structure. That's a format. And then here it's talking about what happens after the homework has been discussed. Again, that is format, structure. The order in which classes are taught and how they're taught, that is structure. So the correct answer here is going to be 5, number 5. Now, you may be saying to yourself, hey, I do not see the word math in there. I do not see the word math in the first sentence here or in the first sentence down here. So how do I know that that is the correct answer choice? The reason that I know that this is the correct answer choice is because I trust the strategy. You have to trust this strategy, guys. Everything that I'm teaching you here in regards to the strategy, you have to trust it. So even though I don't see the word math over here, I know that that has to be the correct answer because there's nothing else that talks about the pattern or the structure or the format. This is the only answer choice that talks about it. So I know that this is the correct answer choice even though I do not see the word math in the first sentence. And if I was to actually start scanning my paragraph, for example, if I start scanning my paragraph over here, I'm pretty sure I'm going to find the word math in there somewhere. If I start to scan for it, let's see if we can find the word math in here somewhere. we should be able to find it. There we go. It's talking about math over here. Okay, so I don't have to find the word math in order to know that this is the right answer. I know that this is the right answer because no other answer choice is talking about the format of the lessons. So that's how you know. Okay? So you really don't have to read any more than the first sentence. And maybe if you don't find the answer, then you can look at the second sentence and the last sentence. But you should be able to find the answer right away after you read the topic sentence most of the times. So our answer is going to be number 5 for question number 3. Let's put that next to number 3, and I am also going to cross this out since I've already used up this answer choice. And let us move on to our next question. The next paragraph is paragraph E. Let's see what that is about. It is remarkable that large mixed ability classes could be kept together for maths throughout all their compulsory schooling from 6 to 15. So here, this whole paragraph is talking about the mixed ability classes. Mixed ability means basically that students have different levels of ability. So some students are fast learners, they learn very quickly, but other students learn slowly. So they have different levels of ability. Some may be more intelligent than others or more experienced than others. So that is a class in which people have different levels of ability. That is a mixed ability class. And here, this paragraph is talking about the mixed ability classes and how to keep them together for this math schooling. Let's look at our second paragraph. This scarcely seems adequate help to enable slow learners to keep up. Okay, now it seems that the second paragraph is in a little bit of disagreement maybe with this first paragraph. So the first paragraph is talking about how large mixed ability classes can be kept together, but the second paragraph is saying that this scarcely seems adequate to help enable slow learners to keep up. That's what this whole paragraph is talking about. It's talking about how is it that slow learners are going to be able to keep up? Because there are students with different levels of ability. Some are fast learners, so fast learners are going to be learning very quickly. So in such a situation, how are the slow learners going to keep up? That's what this paragraph is about. So let us come up to our answer choices and let's see if we can find something related to that. Helping less successful students. Okay, that could be our answer. Let us move on. I want to make sure that we don't have any other answer choice that may be a better fit. The success of compulsory education. Nope. Nothing about expenditure. The key to Japanese successes doesn't mention that either. Nothing about homework. So the correct answer has to be number 2. Because question number 2 is using synonym language for slow learners. It says less successful students, so that is synonym language for slow learners. So let us come down here and put answer choice number 2 as our answer for question number 4. Okay, and let us move on to our final paragraph, section F. Okay, so here is section F. So what are the major contributing factors in the success of maths teaching? Well, this paragraph is asking us what are the major contributing factors to success. So that's what this whole paragraph is exploring. It's exploring the question, what are the major contributing factors in the success of maths teaching? It's focused on success. What makes math lessons successful? Here we have our second paragraph. Other relevant points relate to the supportive attitude of a class towards slower pupils, the lack of competition within a class, and the positive emphasis on learning for oneself and improving one's own standard. Well, this here just seems to be giving us more information about the major contributing factors to success. it's just telling us why the classes are successful. It's giving us more concrete examples and it's giving us more details on why these classes are successful. So let's see if we can find something related to that. So we've already used this answer choice. Here we go, the success of compulsory education. Actually, I see the word success here and it's talking about the success of compulsory education. But down here, I see another answer choice which is a very good fit. It says the key to Japanese successes in math education. Guys, which one do you think is the correct answer choice? Number 3 or number 8? Which one do you think is the correct answer choice? They're both talking about success. But the correct answer choice is number 8. Because here we have more specific detail. It's telling us the key to Japanese success is in math education, okay? Compulsory education, I'm not really sure what that means, but here is talking about the key, the specific reasons why Japanese lessons are successful. The specific reasons. What is the key? And key for success in what type of education? Well, math education. And it's talking about math education here in section F. It's talking about math teaching. Okay? So that is the correct answer for section F. The correct answer is going to be number 8. And that's it. We're all done with this question set. I hope that makes sense. And in the next video, we're going to go over another example, this time from reading passage number 3, when we talk about how to answer practice set number 2. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you there.